I always thought it would be cool if you could go back and listen to the day-to-day of today's highest achievers as it happened, as opposed to 30 years later after they've made it. I believe there's a giant disconnect between ground zero and the top floor because we only see the top floor and the top floor only talks about the top. You know, how valuable would that be? And so it goes without saying, but I believe I'll make it there. And this is the documented journey through each level. My name is Bryson Sessions, and you are listening to the Bed Podcast.
Okay, so this is 264C. I have just ended 264B, and I didn't even talk about what I wanted to talk about. That's how far off track my brain was. So that's great. So anyway, why I recorded the second show here today is to say everything that I just said, but then to also say it's just the reps, dude. It just repetition. Like that conversation that I had with these people today, it could have gone better, it could have gone worse, but that's just one more rep. And the conversation went kind of deeper than a surface level conversation, you know? And I said some things that I was like, why did I say that? Why did I say it that way? Why did I do that, you know? And I just think I'm just learning, man. So doing one of those, having one conversation like that, I want to go have another one, but then use what I learned from the previous one. So like from the previous one, which is with this couple, I was like, what did I say? We were talking about, because he works up on base, because he's active duty, and I was telling him where I work, what I do, and I was like, because there was a jet that was flying over, I'm like, oh yeah, those right there, that's exactly what I work on. I work on the canopies. Meanwhile, it was loud as shit, so they probably couldn't hear me, and then I segued into another thing, and so like, just that alone, I'm like, you know what, okay, next conversation, not going to do that, because probably wasn't the best for them listening, they probably couldn't hear what I said, probably had no idea, whatever, and so I'm like, okay, so take that lesson, take it on to the next situation, implement that lesson, and have a better conversation. And then rinse and repeat until I've had a million conversations, and then I'm the most articulate, the greatest conversationalist that ever lived, right? And so I think about the reps and shit, because now I'm like all fired up. I'm like, dude, I could do fucking anything right now. And it's crazy because all it took was just trying to do good for somebody else. I mean, with sleep and all that other shit, but then that gets me thinking about other things. So like with the door-to-door sales opportunity that I have, it's like, okay, that's all I have to do. It's just more and more and more. You know, I knock on one door, knock. Hey, so I'm bright, slam, right? It's like, cool. So maybe we don't start with that, you know, just an example. And then go to the next one. Maybe I go to the next 40 and just slam. It's okay, I'm doing something wrong. What can I do better? Maybe it's my position. Maybe it's the way I'm angled towards the door. It's like, okay, well, the next 40 doors, I'm going to actually change. I'm going to take 5 steps back, put one foot up on their bench, on their porch, and I'm just going to, you know, how you doing? You know, maybe that'll catch your attention. And obviously I'm exaggerating and I'm making up shit just to paint a picture. So then you do that for the next 40. It's like, okay, well, got the door slammed on my face 80 times. Probably shouldn't put my leg up on their bench, and I probably shouldn't start with, so, you know, so, okay, noted. But you wouldn't know that if you didn't try. You wouldn't know what did or didn't work if you didn't actually knock on the door. And I haven't even knocked on a fucking door yet. I'm just spewing shit out my ass right now. But it's the principle behind it of the repetition of whatever you're trying to do. So, I don't know. It's cool because I think about having to message 100 people per day. Because I'm reading the book $100 Million Leads by Alex Hormozi. And the 100 reaching out to, DMing 100 people per day, that was just kind of a high marked number that I've always wanted to kind of go after. Because 100 people a day is 3,000 people a month. And the likelihood that at least, like I'm talking bare minimum, at least one person wants to buy, then that would allow me to make $1,000 extra per month. So that is a shit ton of work for an extra $1,000. But that's 3,000 repetitions I have of sending a DM and crafting up some sort of message that would be the hook, the retain, and the, whatever you call it, hook, retain, and close, I don't know, or schedule an appointment, whatever it is. So, I mean, I don't want to get my hopes up, but I would have to imagine that if I message 3,000 people per month, the likelihood that I get somebody, that I get 10 people, like 3,000 people is a shit ton of people, you know? Like when you go into a gym, it's like max occupancy 285 or whatever. Or we'll just say 500. That's 6 full-ass commercial-sized gyms full of people. And you're telling me not at least 10 people? 5 people, right? We'll just say 10 because it's a better number. But 10 people buying in a month with 3,000 DMs. That's 3,000 reps that I get with DMing people, which 3,000 reps, if you're not a little bit better after 3,000 reps, there's something going on, right? So you have 3,000 attempts to get better. I think that's kind of what this whole show boils down to. Every time you fail, you get better, because if you take the lesson from the failure and apply it to the new thing that you're doing or the next step, then you're going to be that much better. Think about you're trying to take a step, I don't know, you're just trying to level up. So you fail and you crumble down into the pieces. But when you crumble down into pieces, there's a few other things that you can take. Like, think about a Lego guy. So like a Lego guy, he's standing there, he falls down, breaks into 1,000 pieces, but there's other pieces around, and those are what we're going to call lessons. So you grab those other pieces, you put your Lego man back together, so now he's 1,000 pieces and 2 more. So maybe those 2 more are the lessons or the valuable things that they learned in the past. So then they go and try again, and then they crumble down again, they fail. Now there's 1,005 pieces, because there's a shit ton of pieces around, I don't know, it's a weird analogy. But you keep going and going and going, and by the time you reach like mastery, your whole thing is like 1,000,000 pieces. It's because every time you failed, you took something that you could learn, applied it to where you're at, and then got better with the next attempt or whatever the thing is you're doing. So I think about that. So with 3,000 DMs, there's a high chance, I think, in my mind, that I would get at least one person. I mean, if I don't get one person and 3,000 messages, there's something wrong with me, right? And I hope that happens so I can document it and I can be like, yo, guys, go listen to episode 264C. I talked about this and I didn't even do it. What a lamey. So anyway, so I do that. And then we'll say with those 3,000 people, I mean, like if we're further down the road, let's say I get 3,000 people messaged per month, and 200 of those people want to schedule an appointment. So that's 200 reps that I have right there to work on scheduling an appointment. 200 attempts, 200 tries, 200 lessons, 200 failures, whatever you want to call them. And then from there, we'll just say 20 people schedule that actually show up for the call. So it's like, okay, I'm going to study those 20 people's DMs or whatever that I got to show up for the call. What did I say? Why did this succeed? Look at that, apply it to the next attempt. More reps to come in the future, apply all that. And then for the people that I do close, for those 20 people, let's say that it's 5. So look at those 5 closed attempts or 5 closed sales. And I'm like, okay, well, these 5 succeeded. Here's what I did right. Here's what I did wrong. Why didn't these succeed? So I look at those. I'm like, oh, this, that. And then with these ones that did succeed, I'm like, okay, well, I did this. I didn't do that, but that didn't seem to matter for this guy. Whatever. And you just get reps, right? So that's how you learn. And this is not my thing. I got it from Chris Williamson's podcast, but there is a story of a pottery class, and they divided the class into 2 groups. The first group was instructed to make as many clay pots as they possibly could in the semester time frame or whatever it was. And then with the other half of the group, they were instructed to make the most perfect pot that they possibly could. And so half the class was trying to make as much as they could, half the class was trying to make the perfect pot. And so when it came down to the end of the semester, not only did the clay pot group that made the most pots obviously make the most pots, but they made the average quality of their pots was better than the class that had the entire semester to make one perfect pot. Which the lesson behind that is, you don't know what you don't know. You can't improve upon what you don't know needs to be improved upon. So you have nothing to go off of. So for example, I have 263 podcasts. I have an idea of what I think makes a podcast better and what makes it worse, just based on reps, And I'm not even saying this is gold standard shit. I'm just saying this is just, I'm just learning. That's it. But I wouldn't know, like for example, if I didn't listen to a few episodes early on to know that I was doing that thing, I probably would still be doing it. And the quality of the show up to date now would probably still be ass. And again, not saying this is good at all. It's just, I'm just documenting lessons. But so not only did the class make more, but they made the average quality of their pot was better than the semester, than the group that had a full semester to make one perfect pot, which just goes to show that reps build on reps that build on reps. And so
you learning more as you go allows you to make more because you have nothing to compare it to. So if you have one clay pot and you've only made one clay pot, you can't compare that to anything else you've done. So there's no way to make a fair judgment. The moment that you make more than one, that's when you can make a judgment. It's like, okay, is this one better than the other? Is A better than B, or is B better than A? Which is it? But then when you have a million pots, it's like, okay, well, this one definitely is the best because of these reasons. This one's the worst because of these reasons. And I know that because I've made a million pots and I know what is good, what is bad. So likewise with literally everything else in life, if you don't do at least one, you have nothing to compare it to, so therefore you can't improve. You can't, That's why the whole waiting to start and improving and making things right the first go around is I'm now learning hands-on, like real life, is such a poor way to go. Because you make a perfect plan and turns out never goes to plan because you don't account for so many different variables that happen. And so when you go out and you do the thing, it doesn't go according to plan. So it's like, oh, well, this was a shitty plan. But then people quit after that. So what you need to do after that is reformulate the plan and account for those variables and then go again. And you'll probably fail the next 10 times. But then on the 11th time, it's like, okay, well, this is a lot better than the first plan because of this, and this. And that first plan was shit because we didn't think about this, or we didn't plan for this, we didn't pay for blah, blah, blah. So it's just the reps. That's it. And so the reason why that ties into 264B, which is the podcast you maybe just listened to, is because I'm having these conversations with people and I'm learning what to say, what not to say, when to pause, whatever. It sounds so silly, man, but I'm just coming from a place of very introverted life, very shy, very not confident, low self-esteem. That's me. So for someone who's confident and really extroverted or whatever, this might sound so silly, but for me, where I'm coming from, this is some real tough shit for me. So now I'm just like, okay, how can I talk to the next person, How can I go and have a conversation with somebody else and talk about whatever, So that gets me pumped up. Because if that's what I'm feeling now, how am I going to feel if I do pursue door-to-door sales? And when I do pursue my coaching program again, how am I going to interact with people? How am I going to do? Because, dude, the world's my fucking oyster. I mean, like, go back to the example of 3,000 DMs per day. Let's say in 2 years from now, I'm just really I'm well off. I have a team. We're doing well. If I message 3,000 people and I've got 5 people below me that all message 1,000 people per day, we'll just say, then that is, per month. That's 8,000 people per month. And if we're all doing really good and we have an exceptional team and we have testimonials out the ass or whatever, let's say so with 8,000 people, let's say, I don't know, we'll still keep it short. Let's say 10% of those people show interest. So that's 800 people. And then let's say 50% of those people show up for a call. That's 400 people. And then let's say half of those people close. We close them. So we'll just say 20%. So 20% of, what did I just say? 200? Is that what I said? 20% of 200, that'd be 40. So, and if we're charging a premium, let's say we have a year-long program and it's $3,000. We'll just say that. It's actually a really good deal. Then $3,000, we'll say $2,000 for a full year program, which is very cheap. That's not even $200 a month. It's very cheap for a program like this. Let's keep it real. $3,000 for a full year. So $3,000 for a full year, and we're closing 40 people. That's $120,000 per month in revenue, and split that between me and 5 guys on the team, right? And this is just forecasting. I'm just making numbers up. So 120 grand split by 5 people. So let's just say I take 40 grand because this is my company, whatever. I take 40 grand. Everybody else below me takes 20 grand. So, or I take, what is it? Well, actually, that's pretty close to, we'll just say even split, 20 grand each. 20 grand a month, dude. It's some fucking money, for me right now. That's a lot of money for me. And that's actually, I feel like it's very conservative. I feel like things would be a lot better in 2 years. And that's just one thing, So anyway, I'm just pumped about the reps. I'm pumped to keep learning and to keep growing. It's pretty much the whole gist of the show there. So I'm excited to get out there and see what I can do. So anyway, long-winded way of saying I'm excited to fail and keep on trying. So that's it. Peace out. Hey, thanks for listening. And quick reminder here. So this podcast doesn't prioritize professionalism or quality at all. It's just meant to be a shoot from the hip type podcast with the intent just to get a quick message out. So some episodes might be inaudible in 30 seconds and others might be 45 minutes and super crisp sounding. So all these are being made so that by episode 7,305, which is 20 years, we can come back and see the entire playbook of how I made it to wherever I'm going. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.